Welcome everyone. I'm Joan Freilich, 63 class president, and I'm really excited that so many of us are here. And I just want to say this is our 76th Zoom program. We've had more than a dozen classmates to whom we owe a great deal of gratitude for having created and managed all our programs. Almost 130 of us have participated. I look forward to seeing each of you online today, old friends and new friends, and also at our future Zoom programs. But first, standard disclaimer. This online event will be recorded. You may elect to participate or not through your personal device's microphone and/or camera. Your election to use these devices constitute a release and waiver of rights in the capture of your image, likeness, and/or voice for the exclusive use of Barnard College. And now I'll turn the program over to Wendy Sukovitz Riley, one of our party planners extraordinaire. Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Wendy Supowitz Riley. I live in Sea Island, Georgia, and I'm sharing a memory of Barnard that I've made wonderful lifelong friends, some of whom are here today. And I wanted to thank Joan for your dedication to our class and your outstanding and steadfast leadership over the past 10 years. We would not have had such a high level of class participation without Joan.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Pearl Sternschus Vogel. I'm co-chair of this event along with Wendy. Can you believe that it's been 60 years since graduation? It's amazing that so many of us are still in touch and still engaged with Barnard. Now I'm going to introduce Marlene Lobel-Ruthin, one of the co-vice presidents of the class and co-chairs of the reunion for our class. Marlene?
I too am delighted to be among so many of you today to celebrate this memorable milestone, and in such a modern fashion. No one would dare to call us old ladies. The Reunion Booklet Committee, I would like to tell you a little bit about the booklet, which will be coming out soon. It has done its best to commemorate this major milestone by creating a booklet that brings us up to date on each other's undertakings, our thoughts, concerns, and recalls some wonderful moments from our past. I personally wanted this moment to thank Beverly Barron, Caroline Barenbaum, Alice Golan, Roberta Handwerker, Susan Stern, and Jackie Stewart for their hard work and support in this project. And a very special thanks to Meredith Butterworth, our indispensable Barnard contact, tutor, and enabler. The booklet will be online on our Barnard class page and in a home printable form upon request. Directions for accessing the booklet will be emailed to you next week. Just to bring you up, I still live in New City, New York, where I've lived for the last 55 years. And I still have my fond memories of friendships old and new from Barnard.
Barbara?
Hi, everyone. I am Barbara Levitz Hankin, and I live on the Upper East Side of New York City. As we proceed, I would ask each of you to refer to the hopefully printed sheet that you've gotten with the alphabetical listing of the order in which we will proceed. And then in a minute or less, please state your name now and at Barnard and tell us where you are living and share a memory of Barnard. When you are finished, please put yourself back on mute. My memory of Barnard is basically the first time I stepped onto campus I got out of the 116th Street station and entered this fabulous sanctuary. And it's been a sanctuary throughout my entire life, no matter what I've done or where I have been living. And of course, if there was one moment that absolutely changed my life at Barnard, I would have to say it was that very 1960s evening in the James Room when I was introduced to the man who became my husband. And now if I could ask Joan to continue.
I'm Joan Friley, as you know, and I live in New York City. And my Barnard memory relates to the magnolia tree on the lawn opposite the library. As a freshman, I took Barbara Novak's survey of art history course and an extra credit lab where we made our own works in historic styles. And the last picture, the last project was a painting of the magnolia tree in full bloom in an impressionist style. Now, I have no artistic talent at all, but I managed to produce something worthy of framing and put on a wall. Although I will admit that the first location was a bathroom. In 2009, construction on campus required that the tree, now called Maggie, be moved, and specialists were called in, horticulturalists. Maggie was packed and shifted with great care and a lot of hoopla on campus. Alas, she did not survive the following winter. But the story has a happy ending. Grafts were taken before Maggie was packed up and were used to produce another glorious magnolia tree that graces the lawn today. And my painting still graces my home, but we've upgraded it now to a spot in the hallway. Let's see, Pearl, you next.
Yes. I'm Pearl Sturgis Vogel, as you know by now. I live in Boynton Beach, Florida in the winter and in Bethesda, Maryland in the spring and summer. And I have a humorous memory of Barnard when I had to fulfill the phys ed requirement. And one of the activities that I chose was hitting golf balls into the cage on the roof of Barnard Hall. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but many years later, I became interested in golf and I still play to this day.
Janet Eviat. Janet is not here. Beverly Barron.
I live in the Boston area in Chestnut Hill.
What happened to me? Oh, well.
There you are.
It's okay.
I also remember the magnolia tree, and I'm glad that its offspring are still on campus. I also recollect, especially in the winter, the arch of trees over a pathway leading to one of the Barnard buildings that were glazed with ice in the winter, and I thought they were beautiful. I don't know if that's still there. I don't think it is.
Unfortunately, Terry Rogers Bart could not be with us this afternoon, so we will proceed with Marion Mandel Bauer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marion Mandel Bauer, and I live in Stamford, Connecticut, and I also live on the Upper West Side, and that's where I'm residing right now. I'm a really proud Barnard graduate. I want to tell you about my humorous moment, but I have 3 children, and all 3 of them have graduated, unfortunately, Columbia College. My daughter, right. I couldn't convince them to go there. And I have 8 grandchildren, and 4 of them have graduated Columbia College. So when I speak to my grandchildren who have already graduated Columbia College, I used to tell them about, I was a commuter and coming off the subway, and there was a man there and he had a flag and his name was Yumke. And I don't know if how many of you remember him. And he used to spout about the United States and how it was coming to an end. And then we would go into chock full of nuts and have our morning breakfast. So I have time to talk to my grandchildren, and we used to discuss how Columbia and Barnet has changed. Thank you.
Francis Bernstein.
Hi, I am living now on the Upper West Side, a block from where I lived when I was growing up. But we lived in Bellport, Long Island for 51 years. And my main memory of Barnard was that it was two worlds at the time. There were commuter students and dorm students. And we hung out in different places. We only overlapped at all in classes. And so all my friends that I've kept from that time, we were all commuter students. I think Barnard now, I think everyone is a resident, and I'm sure that's better. So that's it.
Ronnie Budge.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Bronstein Budge. I'm currently living in Seattle. I'm reminded in this conversation of two memories. One is during our orientation, at our first luncheon for orientation, we were served a pineapple boat with fruit and little tea sandwiches. And we all looked at one another and said, "Oh, that's a very nice appetizer." And it turned out that was the luncheon, but we were all young women with good appetites, and it wasn't quite enough for lunch for us. My other memory, since we mentioned our gym classes on the roof, my favorite gym class was archery. And our instructor said she was asked how we kept those arrows from going over the roof down to the sidewalk below. And she said, well, we were taught to hit the target. And that was exactly right.
Janice.
Hi, I'm Janice Chang. My maiden name was Aang, no vowels, just N and G. And let's see, I live in Oakland, California now. Lived many years in Coachella Valley, California. She's in the Mid-Pacific San Francisco Bay Area, and then we moved to Oakland. And one of my favorite memories of Barnard are the many friends I made at Barnard. And I must say that coming to Barnard opened the world up to me. And I was a dorm student, a dorm resident, and I met other gals from so many different countries, and that just is a very fond memory that I have of Barnard. And some of those from abroad would wear their native dress, on special occasions, and that was very special to me. And to this day, I'm very interested in things all over, whether it's local, domestic, or in the rest of the world. And gosh, and one of my good friends actually is from the Ukraine, and is in our class, but she wasn't able to make it. I don't know if she signed up for this Zoom cocktail hour, Anya Boyce. But yeah, I'm so grateful for the friendship from all of the ones that I've made, and it's been wonderful.
Well, we are delighted that you came to New York to be with us to celebrate this occasion. Barbara Clapman.
Hi, my fondest memory, one of the fond memories is writing for the Barnard Bulletin. And I wrote an article about Washington Square, the other end of New York, which I still have. I have it in my yellowing folder of things I did. But I remember walking back from the bulletin at night. I hope you can hear me. We had put the paper away. And oh no. And I walked back
Unmute yourself.
You are on mute, Barbara.
Hit that.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Well, I'll start all over again. Oh, no.
Please,
Um,
okay.
I have very fond memories of writing for the Barnard Bulletin. And an article that I still have yellowing in a box of memorabilia was about Washington Square and all of the folkies and the political speeches and the wonderful vibes. But I remember walking back from Broadway, from Barnard to Teachers College dorm on Amsterdam late at night, or at night, it was dark out, along 122nd Street. And I felt no fear. I was elated from working on the bulletin, and it was a good time. I'm glad you can hear me now. That's all I have to say right now. That's it. Oh dear.
Linda Creason.
Hi, I'm Linda Holzman Creason, and glad to see you all. And I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but I'm anxiously awaiting my youngest daughter's second baby.
Oh,
And
good for her.
we're texting each other different. She hasn't chosen a name yet. It's a second boy. So that's why I didn't make it to New York. But I'm glad to see you all, and I have fond memories of Barnard and the subway ride down there from the Bronx.
Thank you, Linda. Eleanor Cullen.
Hi, I'm Eleanor. Eleanor Steinfeld Cullen. I came to Barnard from a small suburb outside of Chicago, and now I live in Livermore, California, which is about 45 miles east of San Francisco. And my general memory has to do with suddenly being thrust into this exciting big new city, and then lodging in the King's Crown Hotel, and just meeting so many wonderful people and making some very dear friends. A more specific memory that I have is when we had the opening of this exciting new library building, which I guess is now no more in existence, and encountering downstairs this amazing new machine, which was a Xerox copier, which meant that I could just copy pages and pages instead of writing notes about everything. So that's my memory.
Thank you. Okay, unfortunately, Nanette Domain cannot be with us this afternoon, so we'll go to Connie Dem.
I'm here.
Good. Well, delighted.
Go ahead, and I'll be next.
To look at it, brother.
Can you?
Okay, Connie.
There she is.
Now.
This
There
is
you are.
Danette.
Oh, that's Nanette, you are here?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, well, okay,
I
then we'll
can
go,
It's
let's go back to Nanette and then we'll go to you, Connie, okay?
Yes.
Can you, yes, there I am. I'm
Oh, great.
unfortunately,
There's Nanette.
Great.
hi, unfortunately, I was hijacked today by a dental surgeon, or else I would have been there. But I'm there in spirit. I live in Salem, Massachusetts, and I found out after I moved here that I'm actually descended from one of the witches. But my life has turned out to go much more smoothly than hers. Barnard absolutely changed my life. I came from a small town and a small world, and Barnard introduced me to a wider one. It showed me there were more possibilities for women than I had experienced, and that those possibilities could even apply to the likes of me.
Okay,
uh,
thank you, Nanette. Now we're going to go on to Connie. Connie, if you unmute yourself,
Yes,
thank you.
uh, I wrote mine to try to be brief. My most vivid memories of Barnard are of all the friends who combined our intellectual growth with deeper understanding of our values. My first and longest continuing friendship is with Cornelia Navari. Hi, Cornelia. We met and started talking over breakfast, or maybe it was lunch, the first day of freshman orientation, and have kept talking, growing, and occasionally visiting ever since. Cornelia also became my daughter's friend when Sarah moved to London in 2003. And Cornelia is my husband's go-to source for insights on current international events. Of my colleagues at the Barnard Bulletin, our semi-weekly newspaper, Jane Rubin Gutman. Hi, Jane, I'm so glad you're there today. And I are still close with long phone calls every few months, having reconnected at our 50th reunion. Zooming has reconnected me with Barbara Posen Clapman, who, as she said, is from Barnard Bulletin days, and with Pearl, Bobby, and Claude as other economics majors. Thanks to the 63 Zoom sessions and Joan Freilich's tech expertise, I now also have new friends like Marlene Rubin, and delightful new memories and insights thanks to Linda Sweet. Hello, Linda. Superb tours of Whitney Museum exhibits. I'm happy to have too many Barnard memories and Barnard friends here in Toronto and everywhere else to recall just one.
Thank you, Connie. Diane DeTerra.
Hi there, everyone. Most of all, I'm thrilled to see you, even if it's remote as it is. That's a pure delight. And
Yeah.
Barnard for me was the beginning of, or was an extraordinary adventure. I met people who, my classmates, my friends, who inspired me and continue to inspire me. I want to thank you, Joan, especially for all that you've been doing and others who've organized this. But this adventure that began and is inspired by you and what I did I've followed those threads, and the adventure continues, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I am I'm to you from Aix-en-Provence.
Thank you.
Didn't
And
understand.
I had skipped Caroline Berenbaum. I am sorry, Caroline.
You're sorry, what?
Because I had skipped you alphabetically. Can you go on now?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, and see, we can hear you and see you.
Okay, great. My name at Barnard was Caroline Fleischer. I live in Larchmont, New York, where I lived in the same house for 50 years. Can't believe it. Don't know where that time went, and don't know where the time went since we were at Barnard. It's kind of amazing to me. I don't have a single special memory in the sense that you guys do. I have continued friendships with people who I met at Barnard and made many more through the years going to reunions and working together on various projects, and certainly with the Zooms that have been so wonderful. And I had forgotten about the Yumke Man, so I thank you so much for that little memory of the colorfulness of Broadway. What struck me most at Barnard was I had no clue what college was going to be about. And I was extraordinarily disappointed to discover that I could not spend several hours a day in studio classes, but I could only have 12 credits in 4 years.
And that still rankles with me. On the other hand, I never expected to enjoy single-sex education. I had always done everything in a co-ed way. And I discovered at Barnard that studying just with women was fabulous. And that has stayed with me all of my life.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Rachel DePlessis?
Hi, am I hopefully on?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Okay,
There
great.
you are. And see you.
Right.
Great.
All I can say about me is I spent most of my college years on the train, coming in and out, but with a few exceptions, once an English major, always an English major, and that's been true. And continuing through other degrees. But what I would like to remember particularly is the inspiration of Mrs. Mack towards feminism, a name that, as I remember, she never quite spoke, but she was an amazing inspiration for many of the things that many of us are doing today. And I still remember You Can Do It All, Girls, which, whether true or not, depends a lot on many, many factors, but it was an inspiration, I will say that. And it's tremendous to remember that now with our class.
Thank you. Gail Efros.
Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. I'm Gail Hoffman Efros. We live in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, which is in the southwest portion of Los Angeles County, and have been there for quite a few years. I have sadly remember the negative as well as the positive of being a commuter student, and therefore clearly knowing many of the commuters far more than I knew many of the dorm students. One of my commuter memories is meeting people at, I believe it was called Jake at the center of Barnard Hall, and lining up for our mail and our notes, since that was as close as we had to, in pre-phone days, that was as close as we had to communication while on campus. Good to see all of you, and stay well.
Elizabeth Ewing.
Elizabeth Ewing from Hastings on Hudson. And it shocks me too to find I've been in the same house since 1967 with a lot of alterations and a lot of roaming around the world, but I'm still in that house. And I birthed 2 kids and 2 businesses there. And then I came to college not knowing what it was about, you know. And the first thing I saw was a poster that said, "Welcome to Harlem." And then my trunk with all my clothes didn't arrive for a week. And I was amazed to find out there's no difference at all. You know, I formed friendships that have lasted me all my life. And now I have new friendships thanks to all the silliness that we've been encouraged to enjoy for all of our reunions. But I do have a serious memory to share because it made a lot of difference to me. I majored in Spanish, which was a brilliant department. And at the start of one year, my teacher announced, "Your final grade will be 50% how well you ask a question what this course is about. And the other 50% is how you answer it." And I worked with her for a whole semester, refining the question, refining the answers. And I learned so much. I learned so much about the subject to be able to ask the right questions. And I think about it all the time because now I really appreciate good questions and good answers. Thank you, Barnard.
Thank you, and thank you for your ingenuity in finding our wonderful festive wear today. Cloud Autumn.
Sorry, yes, I'm here. I didn't expect to come up just now. Can you hear me? Because I'm in Italy. I'm not exactly next door. And very often the Wi-Fi connection isn't very good.
It's
Is it
perfect.
okay?
It's perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, right. So now, well, memories of Barnard. I wish I were with you there, but it's always too far for some reason. Springtime is not a good time for me to travel to the States. There's always tons of things to do here because I live in the countryside. So it's a matter of, you know, gardening and getting vegetables for the vegetable garden, getting all sorts of stuff, you know, worked out, and I can't travel. But I'm in there in spirit. And good memories of Barnard. Oh yes, I have very good memories of Barnard. You know, I arrived there really new. It was my first time in the United States. So my father was a diplomat, and we had just lived 3 years in Colombia. And before that, we were in Russia. And before that, we were in Egypt and in Sweden and all sorts of places. So when I got to Barnard, I was a little bit terrified because very often when you come to a new place, you know, local people kind of look at you as if you were a Martian or something, you know, an alien disembarked from the moon or what. On the
Claude,
contrary,
we were absolutely thrilled to have you with us at Barnard. We're going to just move on now, and we're delighted to have you today. Beatrice Gallatin.
Hello. So I hope you can see me. Yes. So my name is Beatrice Skolsky Gallatin, it's pronounced, and
I'm sorry.
So I live in Tenafly, New Jersey, and I was also a commuter student for 3 years. And then I was very, very fortunate to come because of a very early class that I could not commute to and have enough time to arrive on time. So I wound up living at 116 West 116th Street, 616, I'm sorry, 116th Street. And if you recall this, and it was a wonderful situation where I got to be in a suite with 5 roommates, which was absolutely delightful, sharing our experiences, intellectual and otherwise. And that was just wonderful. But one other sort of emblematic memory that I have is in my freshman year, I took a chemistry class with Miss Downs, Professor Downs, who was quite a wonderful, innovative, even her professors, even her final exams were challenging, but also fun, which is very hard to say about a final exam. And then I just have a memory of her because I think that she was our current age, perhaps 80 or so, tooting around campus on her bicycle. And that sort of, to me, that is emblematic of all of us, I think now, because now we've reached this interesting age. And, you know, and I like to think of us as a very surprisingly vigorous class. I never knew that we were going to turn out to be, you know, sort of like, I think a prime class in the roster of classes in terms of activity and energy level. So those are my memories.
Beatrice.
Yes, those are my memories.
Susan Gittleson.
Good job. Yeah, but we're talking.
Susan Gittleson. And go on, Alice Golan.
I am so glad that we are doing all these memories because they just bring back all kinds of memories to me. I'm Alice Norman Golan, and I live in Glenridge, New Jersey. And Joan talked about the magnolia tree, and I don't think I realized at the time it was a magnolia tree, but I do. One of my really clear memories is of taking art history, and we were studying the Impressionists, and it was in the spring. And I remember just coming out of class and coming on campus and seeing the tree. And I said, oh my God, that looks just like an Impressionist painting, which of course, the paintings really look like the trees, but I thought of it as looking just like the And it was just like this amazing experience. And every single time now when I go to see some kind of exhibit, I am so aware of coming out into the world and how the world around me looks like the paintings that I've seen. And that has been such an important thing to me. The other
Thank
thing,
you. Thank you, Felice.
Hi, my name is Felice. It was Whitston Gordis, and for the past 14 years, I've been living in a suburb of Albany. And first, I want to thank Joan and Marlene and the others who arranged this to be part of Reunion for those of us who couldn't actually come, because it's lovely seeing everybody and hearing what they have to say. And it brings back many, many memories. And among them are classes I took that had nothing to do with what I majored in, but greatly enriched my life. And in particular, art classes by Julius Held, which just opened the world of Northern Renaissance painting to me. And I dragged my family years later, and my daughters years later, to museums all over Europe to see those paintings. And it was a wonderful part of my experience at Barnard.
Jane Gutman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane Rubin Gutman, and it's great to see all of you. I live in Falls Church, Virginia, and one of my memories is of working at the Barnard Bulletin. We had ancient artifacts for typewriters, and they had their keys would get stuck. And so we had an ingenious way of fixing them. Since we were all very mechanically inclined, we would lift up the typewriter from the front where the space bar is, lift it up a couple of inches, and then let it fall back on the desk. And the keys would miraculously get unstuck. So, that is one of my fond memories of Barnard.
Thank you, Bobby Handberger.
Hi, I'm really glad to be here. Sorry not to be there in person, but I just came back from Israel 2 days ago, and the thought of getting on another airplane was not very appealing. Anyway, some of my fondest memories of Barnard are just the things that it offered that no other school would have offered. Where else could I have filled my phys ed requirement with Israeli dancing? And I lived in the King's Crown Hotel, and that was an experience because lots of people came and went in the King's Crown Hotel. Lots of men, especially from the press, and we're always very intrigued by the fact that 2 floors of the King's Crown were all these lovely young Barnard students. And I was an economics major at Barnard, and it helped me get my first job. Not my first, well, actually my first and second jobs. And I also met my husband through one of my freshman year roommates. So lots of happy memories about Barnard.
Great. And now I'm going to turn this over to Wendy.
Where's that? What happened to
Wendy, are you there, dear?
This is no. Oh, I see. That is her. Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Wendy, are you there?
Everyone, let's all pour ourselves a drink and raise our glasses in a toast to 60 years.
Okay.
Wishing us all good health and good times in our 9th decade and beyond. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. If we can continue, and I really am sorry that I am cutting some people off, but we are trying to keep this to 1 minute per person. But I would love to be able to sit here and talk to all of you for hours. Okay, Phyllis Hirsch.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Hirsch. I now live outside of Boston in a town called Dedham. And when I came to Barnard, I came from a small town, small world, very unsophisticated. And Barnard just opened the world for me. And I lived for a year after Barnard in New York City. I would never have imagined that I would have had the capacity to do that. So I thank Barnard and all of the people I met and all of my classmates for opening up a world that has been my world for the rest of my life.
You, Camille? Camille Hodgson?
Here.
Okay.
I have so much to thank Barnard for. I was a mature student. I had already gone to school for a couple of years and had worked for a couple of years when they accepted me. So I thought that was very good of them to do. I have fond memories of playing tennis at Barnard and taking a crazy fencing class, which was a little.
You did.
Yeah, does anybody else remember having the cream cheese sandwiches at Chock full of Nuts on Broadway?
Yes.
Yes, of
Fortunately,
course.
yes.
I remember the wonderful, wonderful professors I had who introduced me to art and history and philosophy and music and just everything. So many things that I've studied that have stayed with me. I have a funny story to tell. My granddaughter just graduated from Barnard last year. When her mother said to me, "Oh, Elizabeth wants to go to Columbia," I said, no, you don't want to send her. It's too unsafe. It's just a poor idea. And then said, "Oh, Elizabeth wants to go to Barnard." And I said, "Wonderful. That's a great idea. I think that's fabulous." So she had a great time there, although it was during COVID, and she spent a lot of her time in Toronto. I'm in Toronto, by the way. Spent a lot of her time in Toronto in my kitchen with the computer. I did a couple of courses with her from Barnard. So that's all I have to say. I love Barnard, and they've improved my life immensely. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, Camille. Martha Huntley?
Hi, all. This is Huntley in Cary, North Carolina. I was so tickled that one of the first memories that came up was that infamous pineapple, half a pineapple filled with cut fresh fruit, the appetizer. How excited we were. Next thing was the program. I was an American Studies major at Barnard, which was just perfect for me. I can remember so many of your faces now, not having seen most of you for 40 some years. I still remember a lot of you because of the English classes and the American Studies seminars. It was interesting that when I tried to think of a memory for in a minute or two, the ones that came to mind were chock full of nuts. I love chock full of nuts. Each day the decision was, would I spend my 15 cents on coffee or hot chocolate? And we kept instant coffee in our dorm rooms. I'd make coffee like at 1 o'clock in the morning with hot water out of the tap. It's amazing I'm alive to tell the story. And the people we met at orientation, the other girls on the 4th floor of Hewitt dorm, have been lifetime companions and people who figure very strongly in my dreams and the things that shaped me as a person. And,
Great hearing from you, Martha. Zora Johnson?
Hello, I'm Sarah Johnson. I live in Red Hook, New York, and that's Red Hook up the river, not Red Hook, Brooklyn. And Barnard opened all kinds of worlds for me intellectually, and I met wonderful women and very good professors. But I want to share a recurring nightmare that Barnard has left me with, which is one day during exam period, I was feeling really good. I had mastered whatever I needed to master and was thinking about an exam the next day that I hope to do well on. And a friend of mine, our Barnard woman who I actually went to high school with, met me in Barnard Hall and said, "Sarah, what are you doing here? You have an exam." And I said, "What do you mean?" And so we went over to the list of where the exams were. And sure enough, my exam was not the next day, it was that day. And I don't remember how I resolved it or anything like that. But throughout my life, when I have had important things that I have to do and have to do them well, very often the night before, I have this kind of nightmare of wandering around Barnard Hall and looking for the exam list and trying to locate exactly where I'm supposed to be. And so I know Barnard Hall well in my dreams.
Thank you so much for that, Marilyn Kammerman. Marilyn Kramer Kammerman.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Kramer Kammerman. I was a commuter student. I don't have a specific memory. I'm just thankful for all the wonderful classes I took. But I remember a lot the rides on the subway because I spent a good part of my life there. I now live in Houston, Texas, so I have not been on a subway in a very long time. I'm glad to see everybody.
Okay, Naomi Lehrman.
Hello.
Naomi, are you there? Okay, we'll go back to Naomi. Joan Lucas. Joan. Harriet Lyons. Judy McDonald.
Hello. I will start. It was Judy Rothgart MacDonald when I was at Barnard. And I want to thank everyone. It's nice to be sort of in the middle of the pack because you're reminding me of all these wonderful professors, which is what I was going to talk about, how they opened up my world in art, in history, in every which way, and encouraged me to do many other things. I also want to mention that I met that friends, and years, 10 years ago, I got a job part-time in San Francisco, and the person who was there for me and supported me was Muriel Glaubiger. I'm going to end by talking about something which Millicent McIntosh mentioned. It was on her retirement, which was, I think, so feminist and so forward-looking for that time. It wasn't exactly how the world turned out or life, but I remember her saying to us, when you graduate, I know you're going to get married, because remember, lots of people got married if they hadn't been married while at college, but get a job, because once your children grow up, you will know what the workplace was like. And it really, if you think about it, it was really very, it was great advice, because if you've never worked and go back to work later, it's very hard to understand what the work experience is like. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol Miles. Carol.
No, but I hope that it's not muted like it was with me.
Carol, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can't see you, but I can. Now I can see you. Hi. Okay.
I seem to have my hat on backwards. Oh, well. That's what I learned at Barnard. No, and also I have my 60 pin here that doesn't show.
Okay.
I have wonderful memories also, and of many things about Barnard, but of course, people are among the greatest. Professors, George Woodbridge in history and Renee Fox in sociology, where I majored. I stayed in touch with them for many, many years afterward. Also with the people who ran the dormitories. And, oh, music. And have a my group of close friends, 7 of us, all of whom are on this program today. Thank you, Barnard. Thank you all. Love you all.
Adrian Nassau.
Hello, I'm Adrian Cole Nassau, and I was a transfer student to Barnard, and there were a lot of us transfer students, and we formed our own little society. We were placed in a women's hotel called the Fair Home, which was sort of a dilapidated building a few blocks from campus.
in a dangerous area. But I would say that we bonded and we took full advantage of New York, what New York had to offer. I recently reconnected with my classmates at Barnard because I live in Washington, D.C., and we have a very active group here who get together quite a bit and enjoy one another's company. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Lurie? Irene? Are you there? Okay, we'll go on to Cornelia Navari. I'll come back to Irene.
Hi, I don't, oh, there I am. Okay. Oh, hello all. Cornelia.
Get on the screen. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'm Cornelia Navari, still in London, 55 years, an American in London. Thank you, Connie. Those are such kind thoughts. Connie's my connection into North America, really. It's fabulous to talk to her. My memories, I've got so many memories. Intellectually, it would be, I guess, I don't know, my introduction to higher education was first-year geology. That was a wonderful introduction. For Millicent McIntosh, you don't have to have read the entire book to teach it. That's what one of the things I've kept through to in my academic career. Otherwise, just to say that I'm meeting with other Barnard friends in Port Townsend, Washington, 5 of us next week, to have our own little West Coast celebration of our 60th, and we'll be remembering you all. Goodbye and thank you.
Patricia Mallon? Patricia?
Yes, hi, I'm Pat Mellon. I currently live just up the river in Albany. I have 2 things about Barnard. I chose Barnard when I was 5 years old. And this was the only school I ever wanted to go to because the only other person in my family went to college, went there. And when I found out at 5 I couldn't go there, I had to go here, I said, that's where I'm going. And luckily they let me in. It was a fluke, but they let me in. And the other thing was, once I got here, I made a horrible mistake. I love every Barnard woman I've ever met. I'm so in awe of all of you. And I don't know anybody because I don't know if anybody remembers the name Richard, but I went with this young man named Richard who was from my hometown in Maryland, and he went to Pratt. And so every waking moment, if I wasn't studying or working, I was with Richard, and I ignored all of you. And I regret that every day of my 81 years.
Okay. Kathy Newhoff?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me? My video does not seem to want to work, so I'll just be speaking. It's wonderful to see you all, and I have such fond memories of Barnard because it opened up my eyes to the world of higher education. I was able to take courses in ethnomusicology at Columbia. I was able to do all kinds of things in my major in biology, and I met some really wonderful women who totally inspired me. The professors, most of the professors that I had were very giving and very supportive, and I have fond memories of all my classes. And I am a teacher now, and I try to bring forth all the things I learned at Barnard from these teachers to pass it on to the next generation. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Marilee Osbaum? Marilee, are you there? Terry Pawlowski?
It's not very comfortable.
Hi, everybody. It's such a delight to be together with you. I have lovely memories of Barnard. I was a Spanish major, and it has changed my life. I am indebted forever to this wonderful department that enabled me to become totally bilingual. I still speak Spanish every day. I have a number of friends who are Cuban exiles, and so when we speak on the phone, we always speak in Spanish. As a matter of fact, years ago, we were talking about a wonderful TV program in Miami that really had a handle on Cuban politics. And they said to me, it's just amazing. The person who does a lot of speaking as a guest is somebody who's an American who speaks Spanish the way you do. And it was Susan Kaufman Purcell. And we
Okay, and
actually got a
Susan is
chance.
the next one who is going to speak.
Marilee. And we got a chance to meet in Miami. I was
Okay.
thinking about a course I took in sociology with Professor Meyer.
Terry,
Yes,
Terry, I'm gonna have to cut you short so
That's
that
okay.
everyone gets a chance to speak.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Marilee Opsbaum is here.
Okay, hi, Marilee. Okay, we'll go back to Marilee.
Thank you. Hi, I'll be quick. My funniest memory of Barnard was Professor Brennan, logic professor, although I was a math major, saw me on my birthday when I had cut his class. And he said, why didn't you come to class? And I said, well, it's my birthday and I just was treating myself. It was in May. So he didn't admonish me, but he gave me one of his logic books at the next class. Fast forward 17 years, I applied to law school and I had to have a recommendation from a professor at Barnard. And nobody would remember me, I was sure. So I wrote to Professor Brennan and said, I'm the one who cut class. You gave me a gift for my birthday. And he sent me a beautiful recommendation. So law school, law school was available.
Wonderful story.
Great. Susan Purcell. Susan, are you there?
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Kaufman Purcell, and like Terry, Spanish was my major. I'll tell a funny story. Linda Sweet and I. Can you hear it?
Hi. Who's saying hi? Please. Susan is talking. Thank you.
You know her, she was very much.
Susan.
I don't know how to put the video on actually, but in any case, so Linda Sweet and I were in Whittier. This is the funniest story, which shows you some of my naivete and lack of much knowledge until I got to Barnard. So in Whittier Hall, I was taking a religion course, and then I happened to see this nun walking along the hallway, and I thought, oh, maybe she can help explain this book that I was trying to understand, which was Will Herberg's, Catholic, Protestant, and Jew. So I go up to the nun and I tell her I'm taking the course. And I said, would it be okay when we could meet briefly and I could ask you some questions? And she says, oh, yes, of course, dear. And so I thank her. I start walking away. And then I have another thought and I come back and I said, by the way, are you Catholic? And she looks at me kind of askance. But I didn't know what kind of nuns there were or not, how they were all different. So anyway, but I'm very grateful to Barnard for all the wonderful professors I had. And actually I managed to live for 2 of the years on or near the campus instead of commuting on the Flatbush Avenue IRT subway for an hour each way. And I would have liked it better if I could have lived there the whole time, but I couldn't. But it's wonderful to see you all. And thank those of you who worked very hard to organize this for all of us. I'm sure we all totally appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. Nancy Raymond? Nancy? Anita Reitz?
Hello, can you see me?
Anita, we
Yeah.
hear you. We hear you. I don't see you, but you can
Oh.
go ahead.
Okay, well, oh.
Now
hi.
I see you.
Yes, good. Okay, so I live in Anacortes, Washington, which is in the Pacific Northwest. And my memories of Barnard are really related to the people I met. I majored in Asian studies, and it's related to the fact that subsequently I married a Japanese, and I lived in Japan for 15 years. I lived in Fukuoka. And our daughter, Niall, graduated from Barnard in 2001, and now she lives in Seattle. My long-term friendships with so many Barnard friends. First of all, Diane DeTerra, whom I knew was my roommate in New York, and then we roomed together for a year in Geneva, Switzerland. And I want to thank Ellen O'Brien for encouraging me to maintain a connection to Barnard, and thank Elizabeth Ewing for the fun we had making hats. And I really appreciate everybody who worked to make this reunion and this Zoom possible. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Joan Regal? Linda Robbins?
No, I'm here. Joan's here.
Oh, Joan's here. Great. Okay.
Hey, yeah, well, it's hard to go at the end because so many of the memories have already been shared. But I remember one thing about Mrs. McIntosh. I think it was the first speech she gave to us, and she said something about what we should really be doing right now at our age is having children. And then after we have children and raise our children and use our energy, well, we're really full of piss and vinegar, then we should go and study. Do the rest of you remember that? But that stuck with me. I also remember going to Miss Chilton, who was my freshman English teacher, and she made dinner for us, and she put orange juice on vanilla ice cream. And I thought that was just so clever. And of course, I remember commuting, but then for 2 years I lived at Fairholme, and that was great. And walking home from the Barnard Bulletin very, very late at night. And, you know, I once actually put all my books in my arms, and I kind of pretended and I wrapped it. I carried it like I was carrying a baby. So nobody would attack me, but it really wasn't unsafe.
Thank you. Linda Robbins?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you see me? Yes.
Can't see you, but it's on. Yes, now see you.
Yeah, I'm Linda Robbins, and I live in Ridgewood, New Jersey, in Bergen County for the spring and fall, and in Santa Cruz, California, Monterey Bay area, Central Coast, for the winter and the summer. What Barnard represented to me came through some slogans that I have lived with all my life. And I think one was from not only that Millicent McIntosh taught us that women can do it all, but there was a banner I still have that said, "A woman's place is in the world." And I took that to heart, and that's where my life has been. I majored in government, minored in French, became a French professor, 4 years. I lived after my freshman year in Fairholme, which was diagonally across, I understand, from a whorehouse. And next to me in the cut up little apartments was Connie Fauché. We had commuted together the first
Linda,
year.
I'm afraid let's continue this during one of our Let's Chat sessions.
Okay.
Elaine
Bye, everybody.
Robinson. Elaine Robinson. Elaine here.
Over here. Look at the camera.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, here I am, and I suppose I should say that my memories of Barnard first was I met my husband at a party given by Erica Mann, John. And second, I thought that we would tell all memories of that would show how long ago 60 years was, that it really has been a long time. So my memory was one of the first rules we received when we started out as freshmen at Barnard was, "Would you please not wear pants when we cross Broadway?"
Okay, thank you. Linda Rolnitsky? Linda, are you there? Okay. Connie Fauché?
Here's Linda.
Oh. Linda, sorry.
You're on mute, Linda.
Oh, for crying out loud. You're a Barnard woman.
Oh, she's muted.
You're muted.
Linda, if you go to look at the bottom of your screen, there's a mute button. So just press unmute right there. Just press the mute button at the bottom of your screen.
The microphone.
There you go.
I have mine at the top
of.
of my screen.
Okay, Linda, I'm gonna just go on to Connie Rowe while you try to unmute yourself, okay? Connie?
Hi, I'm not Connie. Connie is stuck at the airport.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Susan Rudnicki?
I have a message from Connie.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Said, please tell a class that she remembers Sheila Gordon on this day, who with me and Frankie found our home at Barnard in student government, a familiar place for those of us not from New York sophistication. And we look forward to seeing Connie for the rest of the weekend.
Susan Rudnicki?
Hello, my name is Susan Slack Rudnicki, and I live about 30 miles south of Boston in a senior residential community. I have a lot of memories of Barnard, but perhaps the greatest memory is of the friends that I made. We stayed as a group. We were 8 of us on Hewitt 4, and we stayed together all this time and make scripts, this and that. So that's really been the main thing for me. But another thing that really got me sort of very interested in, and I ended up loving doing, was singing in the St. Paul Chapel Choir, which Ellen and some others did along with me. And we had a service every Sunday, had rehearsals once a week, and it was really a lovely thing to do. So I have that memory of Barnard as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Sanders?
Susan stole my memory. So yes, Carol Miles, Abigail Peterson. Let's see, who else was in the alto section? We held the alto section together at St. Paul's Chapel Choir, which turned out to be a job that I found when I was leafing through the catalog. And I thought, a job, singing in a choir, how cool is that? So I did that. But my job this afternoon is as fund co-chair for our class. It's my pleasure to inform you, business hat on now, that our class has given $158,000, $158,451 to Barnard in total gifts through May 30th, including gifts to the class of 1963 scholarship fund. Beyond this, 33% of our class has made a gift to date, well above the college average of 21%.
Yay.
Our class has also distinguished itself by setting the standard for planned gifts. 32 of us have provided for giving to Barnard as part of our estate plan, the most of any class.
Really?
Wow. Right. And 8 of us have endowed scholarships for a loved one's name. Finally, we all know that the annual fund is critical. It helps the college close the gap between revenue from tuition and the real cost of a Barnard education. To date, we've given $83,907 to the annual fund. It's now my pleasure to introduce my partner, Jackie Stewart, my partner fund co-chair, to discuss this year's Class of 1963 Scholarship Fund. This was our special effort for reunion year. So Jackie.
The total of gifts to our class scholarship fund at the beginning of the current academic year was $270,000. Thanks to classmates who created a challenge fund of $15,000 and many classmates who have met the challenge, I am thrilled to be able to announce that we surpassed our goal of increasing total gifts to $300,000. As of today, total gifts to our class scholarship fund are $309,000, and we're still counting. Heartfelt thanks to the challenge donors and to everyone who has contributed to this fund. And congratulations to our wonderful class of 1963. Now you will hear firsthand how meaningful this fund is to the young women it assists when you hear from some of the recipients of our scholarship fund. Attendees at our class luncheon Saturday will be able to meet Haley Kane, class of 2019, and Umi Reza, the current recipient of our scholarship fund. Right now, we'll hear a brief message from the first recipient of our scholarship, Sonia Gurung, class of 2017, who has sent us a video greeting. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Sonia here, and I'm so excited to be a part of your class reunion once again. As you know by now, Class of 63 holds a very special place in my heart, very near and dear to my heart. And anytime I have any opportunities to be in touch with any of you or jump on an opportunity to get together and celebrate all of you, I love to do it. So here I am today, and I wanted to provide a little bit of update on what I'm up to as well. So I just finished my first year of business school at MIT Sloan. I have one more year left in the program, but I'm also doing a joint degree program with Harvard Kennedy School. So I have another master's program in public administration that I'll be pursuing. So I'll be in Boston for the next 2 years in the summer as well. So if any of you are going to be in Boston, definitely hit me up. I know Jackie would be more than happy to pass you my contact information. But other than that, I hope you continue to stay in touch with not just me, but with each other as well, and continue to keep Barnard near and dear to your hearts, and remember how special of a place it is. And take care, have the best time, have a great summer, have a great year, have a great rest of your journeys, and I'm so excited to celebrate any occasions with all of you. Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm going to go back to Linda. Linda, you are unmuted. Can you?
Okay. I wanted to say, I'm unmuted so I can speak.
Yes, please do.
I just wanted to say one thing. I love speaking to you all. We're very strong women, you know. Looking in the past is fantastic. It's so nice being here. But you know, I live close by, and so occasionally I'm at Barnard, right? And it's different because it's the world now. You know, you have a lot of students from all over. And I realized that when we went, it was a wonderful place with wonderful people. But I always felt that I lived in New York and I was in some sort of heaven, right? But now it's all one because of the mixing of various people who go to Barnard now. And I think that that's something to keep in mind because we're thinking of the past. But to me, the future will be more integrated than it had been. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Judith Schneider.
Hmm?
Judith Morgan Schneider.
Who isn't? Did you hear what I said?
Absolutely, but you can put yourself back on mute now. Okay. Stephanie Seacrest.
Can you hear me? You hear me? Okay.
Yes, we heard. Yes, we heard
Okay, you heard
Linda.
what I said. Okay.
I'm gonna go down the rest of the list, okay?
Hi, hello, hello?
Is that you, Stephanie?
No, this is Judith Schneider.
Oh, Judith, great, okay. Go on, go on, dear, good to see you.
Good to see you too. This is just wonderful. I enjoyed everybody's comments so much. It makes me want to comment on them, but if I don't do that, I won't say my little, I'll use up my 1 minute. This is a lot of fun. Thanks, Joan, Marlene, and Ellen, and everybody who's organized this. I'll give an academic memory, and if I have time, maybe another one. One of my best academic memories, and probably what turned me into an academic and a professor in college, was my freshman year English class with John Cowenhoven. And he gave us the assignment the first day of class to choose an author and read everything that author had ever written and everything written about that author. And it just blew my mind. I don't think I read everything written by Thackeray, but I did read all his books. And so I was a French major, and I became a professor of French and eventually Spanish. And to the Spanish majors, I want to say that I was always jealous of your corridor because it seemed like you were having more fun.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you,
Judith.
Stephanie Seacrest? Stephanie? Good.
First of all, what an amazing gift the friends that we accrued over the years has continued to be. And fine professors and real, I think, respect for scholarship and learning and scholarly integrity, which I have always really valued over the years. But I think part of what happened here was that whatever curiosity and sense of awe and wonder I may have had all along was just really stimulated. I mean, looking out the dorm windows, you could watch fancy people strut across the hair bouncing and or their beautiful Vietnamese dress. That's true, but all the beautiful architecture that was here on this side of the campus, the other side of the campus, the richness of the environment, all the things that were here, Riverside Church, Bradenstown, Union Seminary, JTS. At that time, Juilliard was right nearby. So we just so much exploring Broadway. Oh my gosh, the sights and the smells, in addition to chocolate nuts. That wonderful newsstand that was there where you could just buy anything, all kinds of trash and good stuff as well. and then
Thank you, that's great, Steph.
If you gotta let me tell you about the marzipan shop.
Okay, we're gonna go on to Lucy.
It was.
Lucy?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
It's wonderful to hear everybody's stories, some of which I wanted to relate myself. But in the 1 minute I have, I'll say that an amazing revelation when I got to Barnard was to discover it was okay to be smart and not to be relegated to the nerd category in Newburgh, New York. That was incredible. And I want to say that Barnard enriches my life now. I returned to New York after living in Israel for 50 years, and I became very active with Barnard activities. And I know people I never knew then, including many former commuters. So I thank you, Barnard, for enriching my life to this very day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Naomi Shapiro? Naomi?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was a commuter and I was a math major, but the things that I have that helped me professionally, of course, but the things that have continued to influence me are the art history courses that I took. I never went into a museum without knowing much more about it than I had ever known before. Being in New York, I had the museums at my disposal, but I never knew as much as I had learned. Also, I loved my freshman English course. And I always loved reading, but I learned to love literature and how to think about it. And it was just, it had stayed with me. These things have stayed with me my whole life. So I thank all, I thank all the organizers. Good to see you all.
Thank you. Cynthia?
Hello from Salt Lake City, Utah. My half-year home, the other half is in Cairo, Egypt. I came to Barnard because of Rusty McIntosh, who was a colleague of my father's at PNS. And I was glad when I got to Barnard to find that Millicent McIntosh had 5 children, since I was the oldest of 5. Although I did not repeat her feat, since I don't have any children. I came to Barnard at King's Crown Hotel. I got food poisoning at a freshman mixer and Ferris Booth Hall. And I remember we always were told to go and get a gargle if we got sick. I sat across at one of the freshman orientation luncheons with 2 of the powerhouses of our class, Erica Mann and Martha Cosiris Stewart, over a lunch that consisted of what I regard still as the strangest meal, lamb chop on toast. What I got most out of Barnard was the class I took with John Cowenhoven, who was just mentioned, not a freshman English class, but another class in which our task was to pick an object and try and find out everything about how it came to be in the place that it was when we started to study it. And that has been one of the keystones of my life. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Shirley Sharak?
Oh, hi, can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we can.
good. I was a commuter and also immature for my age. And so I was as odd as if I had come from outer space to Barnard. But looking back over the years, what I want to say in the rest of my 1 minute is that the thing that I have come to value most was the variety of opinions that I was exposed to in the economics department. It was my major by default because I couldn't make up my mind, nor did I know what I would want to do in life. I had, you know, a number of abilities, but I had no direction at that time. And so I had to pick a major, and I picked economics because it seemed practical. And between Professor O'Connor and Dr. LeCashman and several others, each one had very strong opinions and takes on the economic universe and the country and the subject, but each was respectful of the others. It never occurred to me that that was special, but I left Barnard with the ability to think about and ask for and to look for different opinions on the same subject. And that has served
Thank you, Shirley.
very well.
Okay. Dale Sonnenberg?
I'm Dale Sonnenberg here in Austin, Texas, and I can't be with you this weekend because I'm going to Europe in a few days and I just couldn't fly back and forth. And I just want to say, since I'm at the end of all of this, that you all look great. And even though Martha Cosiris is a centerfold in Sports Illustrated this month. So, and I also want to say
On
that
the cover.
Right, and I miss some of our classmates who aren't with us anymore. And thank you all for putting this all together. I wish I could be with you. Take care.
Thank you, Dale. Frankie Stein?
Hi, wonderful to see everyone. I may have told you this story before, but I'm sure you all remember Dr. Nelson. And perhaps you remember the personality test we had to take when we got to college. She sat me down after I took that test and she said, "You tend to resist and resent rules unless there's a good reason for them." And I thought that was a compliment. And the best thing about it is that all of you should have had that answer or that commentary from your personality test, because I think we are a group of women who have loved each other and done extraordinarily well in such a wide variety of activities. that it makes me proud to be on this phone call with all of you.
That's lovely. Susan Stern.
I'm here.
Okay,
here. Can
go
you
on,
hear me?
dear.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
and we see you.
I'm Susan Robbins Stern. And so much that's been said evokes memory. I had completely forgotten about the Yumki man, and I'm very glad to be reminded. I was a transfer student. I came as a sophomore. I came as a very nervous sophomore, feeling sure that I was probably not up to the mark. And indeed, initially it looked that way, but it turned out okay. I have wonderful, wonderful memories. I was an English major. I think the English department when we were there was spectacular. There were just so many fascinating people. And in closing, I just like to say one of the common threads that I hear and that I'm so glad to hear it seems to speak to the value of a humanist education as opposed to becoming an entrepreneur. I think it's great to be an entrepreneur. I think it's great to be a doctor, a lawyer. But I think so many of you are saying, and I feel the same, that so many different worlds and pleasures and capacities were open to us at Barnard. And I'm really grateful to that. And thank you, everybody involved.
Thank you, Susan. Jackie Stewart.
I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, and two memories that have had a lasting impact on my life, very different. One kind of amusing. I took botany with Dr. Ritchie, and one of the things he told us is, if you cut out the core of lettuce and pour water in and let it stand for a few days, you'll be amazed to see all the things that grow. So I am a fanatic lettuce washer, which my family still teases me about 60 years later. Second thing, a little more serious, is I remember a talk that Dr. McIntosh gave and said to all of the class, "You women are smarter than 99% of the people out there." And I've never forgotten that remark because it made me feel that my natural intelligence and the education that I have received have given me a responsibility to use those gifts to the best of my ability. And I'm so excited to see all the fabulous things that my classmates have done, who I think have all taken that message to heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Patricia Swain.
Hi, this is wonderful. I have not been in touch with Barnard at all for all these years, and it's just amazing to realize it's been 60 years. And the thing is, everybody looks so good. So just congratulations, everybody. You're obviously taking good care of yourselves, and it's really inspiring to see that. And this has reminded me of so much. I didn't think about Barnard for a long time, and now I've got a page full of notes here, so I've tried to arrange them in some kind of sequence. And
Okay. Thank you, Pat. We're gonna we have to move on, but please join us in our other Zooms and our Let's Chat, because we will continue this conversation. Linda Sweet.
Hi, everybody. I want to call out all of you who worked on the Barnard Bulletin, because you don't remember, but you caused me some grief. I was treasurer of the student government in our junior year, and you reported that I absconded with the money from the student government. It turned out it was April Fool's, but most people didn't understand it. And a hell of a lot of people thought the topic was true. I have all of you with Barnard Bulletin. I finally have a chance to say that you made my life difficult for a day or two there. I had a lot of explaining to do. Great to see everybody. And this is wonderful.
Okay, Joe Tavener. Joe, you there? Camilla?
Hi, I'm going to talk about my memories of Barnard and what it's meant to me at the Moth Talk on Saturday, which I think is being recorded. So if anyone wants to listen, that don't believe, that aren't going to go there, who knows? Anyway, a funny memory that I was always stuck in my mind, and I use the word stuck appropriately, was one of the upperclassmen that, were taking care of the freshmen. She was in the 11th grader, a junior, told me that it would be advisable if I went out and bought myself a very long hat pin because of what it was like out in New York, the dangers of New York. So of course I did not buy the hat pin, and thank God I never even regretted not having bought it because I was never, I was never in danger. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Forms.
Yes, hi, I'm here. Wonderful memories. Jim on the rooftop.
Beth, you're muted.
Okay, wonderful memories, I'm saying. Jim on the rooftop for archery and the basement of Riverside for bowling, favorite things. Strangest memory I have is in a gym class sitting on the floor. The instructor told us to close our eyes and count our breaths until she told us to stop. And I did it. And then she asked us to say our numbers, and mine was very, very high. And she looked at me like I had come in from outer space. I remember Millie Mack so well telling us we could be mothers and we could be professional women, which I did both of. And I miss dearly my friend Alice Miller Weiss, who died a few years ago, but I'm still in touch with Kathy Gayoff Barson. We were commuters and often rode the subways together. Thank you all.
Thank you. Lois Weinroth.
I grew up on 105th Street in Broadway, so the neighborhood was very much mine. And I think that Barnard's encouragement to use the city, to enjoy the museums, to go to plays, to go to dance and music and whatever, has been a lasting benefit, as well as all the great professors, etc. I am still in New York. I ride the subway virtually every day. It's not so bad. And New York.
Don Draper. It's a show that
Thank you, Lois.
glamorous mid-century aesthetic. The
Carol.
by anxiety.
Carol Wexler.
Hello, I think there's some noise.
We have interference on
I'm
this.
Carol Rosenthal Wexler, and I'm living, recently moved to Sydney, Australia. And that's why I'm wearing, it's winter here, so I'm wearing heavy clothes. After 53 years of living in a very warm climate in Tel Aviv. And I want to say that I loved my Barnard education, but you know what? I really, really love what our class of 63 has become. I mean, all of this activity and this dedication. And I just want to remember Charlotte Alter and Sheila Gordon. You've all done something to Barnard that I didn't have at Barnard. I can't even explain it, but it makes me want to cry every time I think about what you have accomplished after Barnard.
You understand?
One wonderful memory is of being as an art history major. I was in the museums with a professor explaining Goya, explaining these wonderful art objects, and that went with me no matter where I was. So thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Anna Zagaloff.
Who's Anna?
Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Zagaloff. I was only in Barnard for 2 years, but I've been very involved with the class over the years, in the last few years. And I've been in touch with all the friends I met my freshman year at Barnard. We've taken trips together, we've been together for 64 years. So Barnard was very important to me as my academic place, as a place to make new friends. So I look very back on my 2 years here.
Thank you. And Anzil.
Hi.
Very glad to be here. I want to tell you a few very quick things. I knocked my golf ball off of Barnard Hall roof on Broadway. I also came here without knowing what syllabus is, and that was unfortunate, as was my pronunciation of gauche. At that time, I went around saying, "Isn't everything gauche?" Also unfortunate. And my three of my best professors were Barbara Novak, Susan Sontag, and Daniel Bell, with whom I took Marxism. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I'm gonna go back and see if we can hear from some of our classmates who missed the first time around. Susan Gittleson.
I'm delighted to have had the chance to listen to everybody because you're just terrific people. And I wish I had known you better when I was at Barnard. But the main thing is I grew up in the Upper West Side and I learned enough so that I could travel around the world, become a professor of international relations, become an entrepreneur, write articles this past week in the Wall Street Journal and other things through Who's Who in America. So I've had a very full life, and I'm so delighted to be with other Barnard women who are just terrific.
Thank you, Susan. Sharon Flesher.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me? Coming at the end, you hear all these stories, no point in repeating them. I want to say I too was a commuter to Barnard, and it wasn't until I became a class officer, class president, which I was for 10 years, that I got to meet all the dorm people. So I know many more people now than I did when I was at Barnard. In thinking about memories, there are just so many, but I thought of a couple in my freshman year that were in a way rude awakenings, if you will. One was freshman orientation, and part of my orientation group was Erica Mann, then John, and she had just come back with her family from a trip to Japan on an ocean liner, and she wore a kimono, a silk kimono, and let me know that she had brushed her teeth with Evian water throughout her trip. And I remember thinking, this is a different world from the world I grew up in. And another rude awakening was that I had always been a straight A, we used numbers, 95 plus writing student in high school. And my first grade in freshman English was a C. My first paper that I submitted for freshman English was the only one. They were all A's after that. But I remember feeling this is a rude awakening to a 4-year time at school, and both aspirational, if you will, but they left a real mark on me about how much I had to achieve in a school which had just such high standards and where people brush their teeth with Evian water. So those are just some of my funny memories, if you will, from my years at Barnard.
Thank you. Hey, Irene Lurie.
Yes, hi. I'm living outside of Albany, New York. And my a key memory of Barnard is my first economics class, which was given by Jim O'Connor, who came into class with bedroom eyes and was a socialist and involved with Castro's Cuba and his revolution. And I said, I want to be an economist. But he was the last one like that I ever met. Most are quite conservative. But one advantage of being at Barnard is that I didn't realize that most economists are men. And I think if I had gone to a co-ed school, I probably wouldn't have majored in economics. Thank you.
Joan Lucas. Harriet Lyons. Nancy Raymond. Joe Tavener? Are you here, Joe? Hey, is there anyone hasn't had a chance to speak? If I had missed calling on you?
I see Carol Burnett on the list as attending. Carol, are you here?
I can't look, you gotta get out of here.
Carol, I see you on the list but muted. And I just wonder if Janet Aviad came back. She was on briefly.
I'm sorry, is Janet Abiad here? Are you still on, Janet?
I don't think so. It's just Carol I see.
To turn this absolutely fabulous kickoff to our reunion to Earl Vogel. And thank you all for joining this afternoon. You've made this so worthwhile. Earl?
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. And thank you, everyone. This has been fascinating. I want to especially thank Marlene Ruthin and Barbara Hankin for tirelessly executing this cocktail party and going through all of the details. You did a fabulous job. Also, thank you so much to Elizabeth Ewing, who has designed and created our 60s pendants and also the hats. And we've had a lot of fun with all of that as we've been going along. Be sure to take a look.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in today, and we hope to see many of you in person at other events this weekend. For those of you not attending Reunion in person, please check the daily schedule of live stream events that Barnard is sending out each morning of Reunion. These will include the AABC Awards Ceremony, where Linda Sweet will receive the Service to Barnard Award, and the Moth, where Camilla Trincheri will present a story. Remember, if you want to continue interacting with your classmates after Reunion, watch your emails and try joining Let's Just Chat, our book group, film club, and many special events, which will continue regularly on Zoom. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll finish.
See
the
you
rest
in
of
a few
this
minutes.
If you want.
Thanks to everyone.
See many of you.
Thank
around.
you. It's cranberry juice.
Thank you, Connie.